What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the THC Temple. And check this out. My boy No Limit Job on Instagram said, "Hey Larry, I had an idea for a video for your channel." So I'm all ears. Check this out. He said, "What do you think happens when you die? Where do you go? And keep up the vids?" Well, check this out. I can keep up on the vids. And something else, man, that I want to go ahead and let out before I get up into this video, because, I like to get deep up in that topic, you know what I'm saying? We don't stick the tip in, we go all the way in. But either way, fucking, in North Carolina, here in Raleigh, North Carolina, me and Matthew, I'm going to be doing an appearance at the Capital Smoke Shop in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, for you homies, I want y'all to come out there, because what it's going to be is going to be a concert. My homie is throwing a concert. They got some guys coming out there, and they're going to be a whole bunch of rappers and DJs and all types of shit. I'm going to be playing some of my shit. We're going to be fucking with the crowd. We're just going to be having a good time, man. We're going to be dapping out, hanging out, all that good shit. So I want to see all y'all boys come out, man. It costs $10 online or $12 at the door. You can check down that description, all that good shit. But it's this Wednesday, so go ahead and make up your mind and get right, because I want y'all out there, man, because I love y'all. I need my fam out there. But into the topic here. Where do I think we go when we die, man? That's a question that I think has plagued mankind, like, since the beginning. As I look at the history of the world, there was a time when people used to worship the sun, worship a stalk of grass, worship cats, you know what I'm saying? So, throughout life, we've always, looked for answers, answers on where we've come from, answers on where we're going, all that kinds of shit. Humans are difficult. We always want answers to questions that we won't never get until we cross over into that other section of life. And we don't want to cross into the other section of life. The other section being the afterlife. But either way, I really don't know, man. At one point, I was growing up. When I was coming up, I was growing up in a Christian family. So I was pretty much, hardcore Christian at one point. Believe in God. Nothing go against God. La-ba-da-dee, la-ba-da-da. Grew up, got a little older, when I got around, I'd always, questioned it a little bit, while we were Christians, I was like, what if, what if here, what if we're wrong, and, they're, the Muslims are right, or anybody, any other religion, what if they were actually right? What if the fucking Satan, the devil worshippers were right? What if we were wrong about, what happens in the afterlife, and what if they were right? Just in the off chance, I've always wondered that what makes, the Bible story and all of that, what makes that law? You know what I'm saying? What makes that because like I said, everybody in the church and the Christian community, it's all about faith. You believe that it's real. You know what I'm saying? It's not really that it really is real, but you got to believe that it's there. It's like fucking, what is it? The Polar Express or one of those things. Like, if you believe it's there, it's actually there. So that's really kind of the only answer they have for it. They didn't have a quote unquote, what I would call a logical answer to it. So, like I said, that's like around the time of middle school, around that time when you start rebelling and whatever. That's when I really started questioning life and time and all that shit. And it just got to a time, man, well, like I said, probably around high school, where I would say I didn't believe in God. I was like, oh, fuck that. That shit is fake. It's not real. A lot of D, a lot of die. And not necessarily like disrespect that, like, fuck God, type of shit. But, it was like, that's not real. That's like the fairy, that's like the tooth fairy, that's like this, that's like that. I downplayed God. I ain't gonna lie. But another thing about it is, and that, like I say, in high school at that time, I would probably be in my fucking, nothing's real, nothing, when you die, you just ride in the ground, or whatever. And I never really was that, cynical about it. At one point, I believed in reincarnation, and I still kind of do, but either way, I was like, that's when I kind of, like I said, it was kind of like in stages, so I was like, oh shit, God ain't real, so nothing happens. Then I was like, oh, maybe this happens. Well, maybe that happens. And so now, right now, I guess I can say, well, I know I can say, is that I don't know. I really don't know what's real. And I'm saying, I'm not gonna sit here and say, because my whole thing about it is, we may die, and God may be, like God and Jesus, all that shit may be real, all that may be, what it is, but then God, that's my biggest theory, that we'll die. And this isn't my biggest theory as to what happens when we die, but one of the one of thing that would make sense is like we die, and like I said, God was real and all that. We go up there, and then we were like, damn, we sweating in our boots, cause man, we've been sinning, we've been fucking smoking weed, we've been out here cussing like a mother, we've been going hard, we about to go to hell. And then God just looking like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, man, I've been sinning, man. Like, man, look, man, that Bible shit is all wrong. That ain't none of my shit. Niggas put my name on that. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you just kind of, cause like I said, the Bible and all that stuff is written by man. So that's not to say that it can't be God's word or any of that thing, but it's most likely not. You know what I'm saying? Like, when a lot of shit doesn't really make sense. And like I said, just don't live your life by that, because it's, I wouldn't tell, a Christian person that, you do what you got to do. You do what's right for you. But living your life by a book because you think it's dictated by the man above, a book that's written by dudes over here, it ain't the best thing in the world. But like I said, at the end of the day, I really don't know what it is. We may die and be, like I said, reincarnated. We may die and like just rot in it. That's my biggest fear, is that we just rot in the ground. Like, you know how when you just go to sleep and like you just like never fucking wake up? Like, it'd be better if it'd be eternal dreams. But then just imagine if it was like, you're just being there and you can't wake up. You're just in your head. You know how when you think to yourself, you're like, holy shit. Oh, fuck, I'm dead. I think this is what it's like to be dead. Like, what if you stayed in your body, but you just couldn't do nothing? That'd be super fucking sad and crazy. But it's not the worst. Like I said, I was about to say it's not the worst thing in the world. That would be the worst thing in the world. But like I said, that's my whole thing about it. I don't know. I'm going to just chuck it up to that. That's the biggest mystery of life. I guess we'll just have to die to find out. That's something that's funny, man. Like, that's the that's $1 trillion question. If somebody was able to find out what it was like to die, that's funny too, because you guys know I'm always thinking about what it'll be like in the future. Because if you think about it, 50 years ago, people weren't thinking about a whole lot of stuff that we're doing now today. So, like 50 years ago, people would think that the iPhone or shit like that would be impossible, or shit like that. But we have it now. But my whole thing is, what if in the future there's some way 100, 200 years from now, there's a scientist that can build a machine to where he can simulate death. Like, he can figure it out. Like, he cracked death down to a science, down to a number, down to an algorithm, and he can just like simulate that. Or he basically finds out what it's like to die. He finds out where you go or whatever. Like, he just finds that out. That'd be fucking crazy, man. Like, just thinking about, that's mind blowing. But that's like I said, man, that's $1 trillion question. That's a question that we'll probably never get the answer to. And like I said, even if humans do get the answer to it and they're able to know it without dying, it'll be long after we're dead and gone. What's even sadder is, what if 1,000 years they find out how to reanimate our bodies? Like, say the human race is like going extinct, so they bring older dead people back. So they start bringing us back. Like, we just wake up like, holy shit, we thought we were dead. Like, that's crazy. Just some high thoughts, you know what I'm saying? But either way, man, moral of the story, man, you never know. So just live your life good, man. Like, if you're one of those guys that's like, shit, man, we're gonna die one day, fucking all the bitches, shooting niggas, and just go, living a savage lifestyle, cause we're gonna die one day, and, God isn't real or whatever, you might meet your maker one day. Ain't no telling what'll happen. That's not to say be scared or none of that, but live free and be happy. I believe in karma. That's one thing about it. I always believe in whatever you give out to the world, it'll come back on you in some way, shape, or form someday. So that's always, like I said, the biggest inspiration. Always do right and do good, man. Because at the end of the day, whatever you do, it's going to come back on you. You might be doing good for a while and you not get paid for it. It may not come back on you. And you just be feeling fucked up. Like, damn, man, I ain't doing, it ain't doing me right, doing right out here in these streets. I might as well do bad. Then as soon as you start doing bad, like as soon as you start being bad, you get kicked in your ass, you know what I'm saying, as soon as. But if you would have waited just a little bit more, and did a little bit more good, it ain't no telling. It might have still took another year, or it may have came the next day. But I don't know. So that's why I always think, like in the Christian community, they always say like God is testing you and God is this and that. Like when, you're falling on bad times or just things are happening that are, negative in your life, they're saying that's God testing you. He said what you gonna do. And I think of that same way, with karma. And just the world and the universe, Like Gucci Mane said in his new song, I bend, I don't break. I don't ask, I take. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have that attitude about it. And it's easier said than done, but, that's life, man. Life is one of those things. But like I said, fucking More of the story is, man, just enjoy life while you got it. Don't worry about what's gonna happen when we leave here. Just enjoy it while you're here. And you know what I'm saying? And you know, if you, like I said, if you're worried about it, then cover up your crossings. Fucking close up your open ends. God damn it, what do they call them motherfuckers? Your loose ties. Either way, you know what I'm talking about, man. If you're doing wrong, man, it ain't never too late to make it right. Only thing I gotta say. But yeah, I don't know what happens when we die, man. We'll figure it out one day. And if one of you guys figure it out before me, I wish you'd let me know. But, you know what I'm saying? My head's gonna go out to you, my thoughts and all that. You're gonna be, you know, permanently engraved on my wall in my brain. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Put it this way, man. I gotta get up out of this car because it's hot and I'm hotboxing and I'm about to die. No, I ain't. Yeah, I am.